Hi friends, welcome to Spice Box. Today I'm going to share with you how to make Sindhi style Mithi Lolo, which is actually a breakfast dish, but you can consider it dessert just as well. Mithi Lolo is a sweet, thick chapatti made with whole wheat flour, sugar and ghee. Just a few ingredients are required to make this dish. To begin with, I have 1.5 cups of atta or whole wheat flour, 2 to 3 tablespoons of ghee, a pinch of salt, half a teaspoon of elaichi or cardamom powder, half a cup of sugar and a 1/4 cup water. To begin with, we're going to make a syrup. So I take about a 1/4 cup of water, not too much, and then add the sugar. Now we're just going to let this melt. We don't need to make a thick syrup, just a little bit. Once it has melted, we'll let it cool and then we will bind the dough with this sugar water. The sugar has melted, as you can see, and it has come to a boil. So we're going to add our elaichi powder. Mix this in and just turn it off. Now we're going to allow this sugar syrup to cool. We will be binding the dough with this sugar syrup. So this should take about a minute or two to just cool down. That's why I have kept it in a wide surface pan so that it cools fast. Just keep stirring. It helps cool the sugar syrup faster. While the sugar syrup is cooling down, I'll go ahead and prep the flour. So take the flour into a large bowl, add a pinch of salt, and next we're going to add about 2 to 3 spoons of ghee. Now you can make this with oil, but it will not taste as delicious as it would made with ghee. Traditionally, in any Sindhi household, Lolo is always made with ghee. So incorporate the ghee into the flour and keep mixing it very gently until it resembles fine breadcrumbs. So just lightly with your fingers, just keep mixing everything in. You want to make sure the salt is also equally incorporated, so just keep mixing. So I'm going to add some of the sugar syrup and I'm going to start binding the dough. Now Mithi Lolo has a lot of significance in the Sindhi culture and cuisine. It is always made for special occasions, especially on a unique festival called Thadri. Now Thadri is a festival where they celebrate the goddess Shitla Devi. Now Shitla Devi is the goddess for chicken pox and other health issues for children and women. So on Thadri day in a Sindhi household, the gas or the stove is never lit. They consume food all day that has been cooked the day before. And one of the dishes that they cook is this Mithi Lolo, and the other one is dal jo fulko, which we will also be learning how to make. So just keep adding a little water at a time till you get kind of a thick biscuity dough. Our dough is now ready. Now, as you can see, this dough has crumbly texture to it. That's because we've used sugar syrup to bind the dough. So it has an almost biscuit-like quality, which is crisp and crunchy. It's not like a traditional fulka roti or even a paratha for that matter. So just keep rolling it and let this sit for about 5 to 6 minutes while I get my tawa going. So I have my pan heating. Now the thing about Lolo, it needs to be cooked on a really low flame, as low as possible, and it needs to cook for about 2 to 3 minutes on each side. It's made slightly thick, so it has this biscuit crumbly like texture. So here is the dough, and now I'm going to break it into 2 parts. Now you could make mini sizes that are almost like maybe 1 or 2 inches, or you could make them traditionally and they are about 5 to 6 inches in diameter. So I'm just doing this, making a ball, and then slightly with my hand I'm going to flatten it. Now you can't make a perfect roti like I told you earlier because we used a sugar syrup. So just keep working it. I'm going to just grease my rolling base. And then I'm going to try to roll it. Just make sure that it's even. The sides are not thicker and the center fatter, so just pay attention. Now this will have crumbly edges like I mentioned before. Then using your spatula, just gently lift it out, and then I'm going to place it on my tawa, flattening and trying to join them as much as possible. And so just keep turning it and cooking it. Make sure the flame is low. So I'm going to move it to my smaller flame, and I'm just going to let it sit for about a minute or two on low, and then we will flip it over. I'm going to add another tawa to get it going. I'm going to place it on low and then gently slide in another one, and I'm going to let this cook. Now I'm going to flip this one over to see if it's done. Yes, it is. So I'm going to flip it over and let it cook. Now while it's cooking, I'm going to be adding a little ghee on the top. I'm going to let it brown just slightly on the other side as well. So I think the other side is done as well. So I'm going to gently flip it over. Perfect. And I'm going to add some more ghee. The more ghee you add, it will keep absorbing it, and that's how it gets a wonderful, rich, crumbly texture that is very decadent. So just let that cook. In the meanwhile, I think this one is ready. Not yet. It still needs to cook for another 2 to 3 minutes. Our lolo is done. I'm going to turn off the flame, gently remove it on to a platter. And then you need to add some more ghee on top. Don't worry, it will all be absorbed. And this is traditionally served for breakfast along with pickle and papad.